Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is the Haves and the Have-Nots Season 5, Episode 19, and the name of this episode is Haunted by the Surname. Man, this was a really good episode, and finally, we got the big reveal at the end, and I'm going to definitely get to that, so let's get this started. The episode opens up where it left off, where Charles lets Candace know that Benny's being railroaded, and he's setting him up to take the fall for the murder of Quincy. Immediately, at first we were thinking, what was Candace going to do? What choice she's going to make? She immediately went into attack mode and said that, hell no, you are not going to convict my brother for this shit. If it comes to it, I'll turn myself in before I let Benny go down for this. That is my heart. And like, I'm not going down like that. So Charles was like, what do you mean? I mean, you actually care? She's like, yeah, I care. I mean, don't you care about your children? He's like, well, that's not the same thing. I'm like, well, what about your wife? I mean, I've read about your relationship and everything. You seem like you guys really care for one another. I mean, what about her? And it makes me question, what about Charles's wife? Because we know his wife died, but we've seen the kind of person Charles can be. I mean, we definitely seen Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, when we see Charles. So it begs the question, what really happened to Charles's wife? But he kind of played it off, like, yeah, what they said in the papers was true. But first he was like, everything that's in the papers, you can't believe. But then he said that, they actually did have a good marriage. But I beg to differ. But then he was saying that, but then Candace was like adamant that, look, I'm not going through this. I'm not turning myself in. Benny is my heart, and then he starts bringing up stuff like, well, what about what's going on with the murder case and everything that's going on? I mean, are you just gonna allow this to go down? I mean, you're just gonna you're not gonna be a part of my team and all of this, and then like Candace even got to the point where she was like, dude, what is up with you? Like, because he again started telling her more stuff about her that he knows. And she's like, well, damn, dude, like, what? Do you know the color of my panties, too? And she's like, well, I don't know. I haven't seen them. Because it's like Charles was just doing so much. And it got to the point where she was like, you know what? You need to leave. And you need to leave now. And then he's like, you know what? You just gave up the gift of a lifetime. And she said, no, you did. Now get out of my room. So we saw that go down. But I swear, that damn Charles is a mess. Then we get a scene with Anna and Wyatt, and it is so obvious more and more that there is like some serious chemistry between them, and Wyatt is becoming more and more fond of her. She pretty much gets all of her. They get a knock on the door, and someone's there to drop off all of her things. So pretty much she's his shadow. So she's going to be living with him, and pretty much going to be monitoring his progress. She gets a questionnaire, and they talk about goals in life. And he pretty much told her that, well, I did have a goal in life, but you're probably going to think it's stupid. And she's like, no, tell me, what is it? And he said that he wanted to be a fireman. And she was like, that's not stupid. She's like, yeah, but according to my parents, it was. They wanted me to, fulfill my grandfather's legacy and to go into law like my father. And we saw that Amanda did that, and look what happened to her. And she's like, it's funny, you don't really talk about your sister that much. Were you guys close? And he said that we were very close. But that situation is too hard to talk about right now. But then, Anna was like, look, you need to talk. I mean, that's why it's important that, you reach out to a professional when you have these kind of problems. You need to talk through it to get past it, or to be able to deal with it. And he was like, man, I don't talk to those clowns. And she's like, well, what, you're calling me a clown? And he was like, no, you're different. You're a pretty clown. Like, why aren't you a damn mess? But then she said, but look, but that's the whole idea of the program is, you know, talking to people and, you know, getting your strength back. But she says that, look, I'll tell you what, if you complete this process, I will reach out to Dr. Jarris or whatever his name is, and I'll see about, you know, talking to some people about getting you into taking the fireman exam. And she's like, so what is it about being a fireman that you like about it? He said the whole idea about saving lives and, you know, and about helping people. Though that's something that really excites me. But then she said, you know, every situation is not always going to be like that, right? And he's like, yeah, I know. But it's pretty cool because, you know, we actually see that Wyatt does have ambitions and goals and actually had dreams and aspirations, but was railroaded by his own parents, you know, because they wanted him to keep up the family name and continue the family legacy. So that, I think, also broke him down, is that they didn't really support his dreams and aspirations and things he wanted to do. And he said that, look, we were practically raised by nannies, and, you know, it's like our parents really didn't give us the love and affection that we wanted. So, we definitely see that happen. And then Wyatt gets a phone call. And guess who it is? It's that damn George, the DA. He's pretty much asking her, like, he pretty much gets on the phone with him, and he's saying that, he pretty much says that, hi, this is George, the district attorney. He's like, well, why are you calling me? Where's Jennifer Salison? She is the one that's doing my case, and I got immunity. She said, and he was like, well, she no longer works with us. And she's like, what happened? Did she leave or something? He's like, no, she's dead. And he said that, look, I really do need to talk to you. And she's like, she's dead. How? And he's like, well, that's what I want to know from you. We need to sit down and talk. Can we meet? And at first he's like, I'm sorry. Wyatt was like, oh, yeah, we can meet right now. So now George is on his way to talk to him. But when Anna asked about it, he was like, you know, it's the district attorney. You know, they want to, you know, ask me some questions. And she's like, don't you think you should call a lawyer? He's like, no, everything's fine. You know, I got this. So we now see that, yeah, now that they found Jennifer Salison's body, oh, there is about to be some real shit in regards to this case. And now that he no longer got immunity because she's no longer handling his case, this is definitely going to take a turn for the direction, because we remember he did hit little Lizzie and he did hit Benny. So we're going to see how that's going to play out. Next, we actually see back at the police station, Veronica has finally set up for Hannah to meet with Benny. And Veronica is one shady bitch. Because the police officer was like, okay, you can actually go in to see him. And all of them were about to come along, you know, Catherine and Mitch are there as well. They were all about to get up to go back there, and the lady was like, oh no, only the grandmother can come back and see him. And Hannah was like, excuse me, but I'm his mother. And then Veronica's like, oh, I didn't mean that. I meant to say mother. Grandmother must have slipped out of my mouth. I'm so sorry. Veronica is so damn evil, it's ridiculous. And then after that, we see that, you know, Hannah goes back there to talk to Benny, and then we see that Catherine and Mitch, you know, sit down and talk to each other. And she was like, so how long have, so Catherine asks Mitch, how long have you known Hannah? And he said that, well, I don't know Hannah very well. I remember growing up, she would come to some of our games and stuff, you know, when we played ball, but I really don't know her like that. But then Catherine was like, well, the question is, does she know who you really are? And he said, I'm just Mitch. Really? And he's like, yeah, I'm just Mitch. So she's like, well, that's interesting, you know. And then Mitch was like, yeah, it is Miss Hargraves, you know, called her by her maiden name, so he knows about her and knows about her father and everything. So I thought that was cute, how he kind of threw that back at Catherine. And then Catherine proceeds to let out her inner cougar. She's like, oh, so are you dating anyone? You know, I'm getting a divorce. I'm going to be single soon. And I could use a man like you. And he's like, huh. It's like, yeah. He said that, yeah, we can make that happen. You know, the money's right. And she's like, And then Catherine's like, no, honey, I don't pay. But after I get done with you, you'll be paying me. And he's like, really? You really think that? Okay, I think I need to go. And then all of a sudden Catherine was like, you don't know what you're missing. I was like, okay, Catherine, get your life, girl. You about to get your divorce from Jim, and you about to just let your hair down. So I ain't mad at you. So then we get into the interrogation with Benny and Hannah. She's asking him what's going on. He's saying nothing. And she asks him, did you kill Quincy? Because I talked to the police. They said 2 people did it, and one of them was a man. So who did it? And she says, look at me in my face and tell me, did you kill Quincy? He's like, Mom, I did not kill Quincy. And then it even got to the point where Veronica was like, so you didn't kill Quincy? And he's like, are you deaf or something? I just said I didn't kill Quincy. He's like, look, you ain't got to get smart. He's like, well, I'm going to tell you the way I feel. And I was like, see, Veronica still be playing her little mind games, but Benny ain't for her BS either. Because, you know, she done put Benny through some crap. Veronica done ran everybody the wrong way. But then she said that, look, I don't know what's going on. And, you know, and then Hannah's like, yeah. And then you got the Secret Service coming in on this? And he's like, look, they asked for my DNA and all of that. And she said, and then like, Hannah was like, you gave it to him? He's like, yeah, they said that they was Homeland Security, so I just gave him my DNA. And then, like, Veronica was like, oh, hell no. I'm about to go call the supervisor on this because that wasn't supposed to happen. And she lets him know, watch what you say. But then after she left, Hannah was like, I know you didn't do this, Benny. And he's like, yeah, I know. Jeffrey did it. And she said, he's like, I didn't want to say it in front of her. And then she starts talking about, see, all of this is being brought about because of that damn girl. You know, I tried to keep her away from you. You know, her baby's dead and she ain't once been by to see what's going on. And then he's like, well, did you call her? And then Hannah was like, did you call her? And she's like, see, all of her mess, she done got her own baby killed. And, you know, it's just, every time I turn around, she's just in more mess after more mess. Everything she touched, she destroys. It's like she's a walking tsunami. It's like every time she comes around, all hell breaks loose. And it's like I've been trying to keep her away from you. I was trying to protect you, and I didn't want her to get close to you. But for some odd reason, you always fall into her trap, and she's always bringing some drama with her. And she's like, and as far as that Veronica, don't trust that hoe. And he's like, look, she's doing her job. He's like, look, don't. And Hannah was adamant, don't trust her ass. So we actually see that go down. So Hannah pretty much is letting it be known. Then we actually see that Veronica actually goes outside to call one of her contacts to say to question about Homeland Security and about this whole situation with Benny's DNA and all of that. So we see she's getting that taken care of. She goes out in the lobby to sit down, and guess what? She gets another run in with Glenn Close, aka Justin. Justin immediately sees her. He literally roughs her up, grabs her by her arm, and was like, delete that damn video. She's like, no. She's like, delete the video. She says, I'm not deleting nothing. And she's like, and he said that, look, you don't know what I'm capable of. And she's like, no, sweetheart, your wife doesn't know what you're capable of. But she's going to find out, you know, in open court. And she said that, and he's like, look, you know, don't go down this road. It'll be best if you just give up, you know, give me the video. And she was like, oh, so what you gonna do? Like you think you scare me? You think you shaking me up? She's like, boy, I see right through your eyes. You flinching. And then he's like, look, I'm asking you, please, just give me the video. And she said that, look, I told you to stay away from my son, but you didn't do that, did you? You kept following him in stairwells and jumping in or breaking into hotel rooms because you're trying to get him on top of you. And she's like, and he's like, you will really go through with this whole video thing? And she says, you bet your sweet ass I will. And he's like, look, please just don't do this. You know, she says that, look, it's done. And he's like, well, if you do this, you will regret it. And she's like, oh, what you gonna do, boo-boo? What you gonna do? You gonna beat me with, you know, strawberries, rainbows, and feathers? I was like, Veronica, sit your ass down. But we see that look in Justin's face, and we know Justin's crazy. So Justin gonna do something to her ass. Like, you keep on walking around like you married Sunshine and you can't be touched. Now, you messing with a white psychopath. Anything is possible. So she done already opened up a can of worms, and she didn't even realize that she did. Then we get a scene with Erica and Candace. Candace lets her know that, you know, she's frustrated. You know, she talks about this John that she's talking to, who's very powerful. You know, she was like, look, I thought I had this guy because when we were having sex, I made his eyes roll in the back of his head, you know, but all of a sudden, he changed up on me. And he knew everything about me. He became very aggressive. It was like he literally became the devil, because when he was drinking, he was great, but when he's sober, he's a monster. And she's like, and then the worst thing about it, he told me that you know, that he could make this whole situation with Quincy go away if I give up Benny. And if I give up Benny and let Benny take the fall for Quincy's murder, I'll walk away free. This bitch, Erica, had the nerve to open her mouth and say, well, that's not a bad idea. Next thing you know, we saw Candace slap the piss out of her. And she says, say the shit again. See, you need to forget that at one point, you were my bottom bitch. And you didn't bring me in that much money. So, if I were you, I'll check yourself before I wreck myself. And then she pretty much lets her know that, look, and she's like, and she says that, yeah, talking to him was like talking to like a snake. And she was like, okay. But then she lets her know, like, look, I'm going to need some more clothes from you. And she says, sure, take what you want. And she was like, but I'm kind of confused. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you being so standoffish and all of that? And Candace lets her know, like, you remember that dress you let me borrow? For some odd reason, it had the stench of some ghetto cheap-ass cologne that War wears. And she's like, no, I'm not dealing with War. What would make you think that? She's like, you know I'll throw your ass out that window, right? She's like, yes, I know. And she said, first of all, you need to be working hard on David. Instead of worrying about where I'm going and what I'm doing, you need to be working hard on David. You should have his damn credit card by now. So after Candace, she tries to get Candace to stay again, because she's trying to get her set up so Ward can come over there and do something to her. So with all of that going down, Candace goes in, gets an outfit, and she leaves. This bitch immediately goes into the bathroom, calls up War, and she's mad as hell. She's like, I want you to fuck this bitch up. You know that she slapped me. I hate that hoe. Tear her down. And like War's like, look, I got some business to handle, so I'm gonna holler at you later. And then we actually see that he got, he pretty much has like this person that he's about to go meet at this restaurant, probably about to, take somebody out. And then when his boy's like, look, the mob after us, man, what you doing? He's like, man, I don't give a fuck about the mob. Let's go, let's do this. I'm like, okay, War, you now putting yourself out in the public view. Yeah, it's about to get real. Now, pretty much afterwards, we see that finally Hannah and Veronica comes out, and they meet up with Catherine and Mitch, and she says that, look, I'm getting, and Hannah and Veronica's like, look, I made a call, and we're gonna work this out and find out what's going on. And Hannah's like, look, I'm not staying here till they let Benny go. And then Catherine's like, no, we still got a lot of stuff to do, and I'm gonna need your help. And she's like, oh my God, I totally forgot all about that. And then you see that she's starting to get somewhat emotional again. And then she says that, look, then like Hannah's like, okay, I'll stay here for a while and I'll just meet up with you later. And she goes off with Mitch. And next thing you know, this damn George is one busybody ass, because George shows up to talk to Catherine, and all of a sudden he's like, he's asking her about Jennifer Salison, and she's like, what about it? She's like, well, when we actually checked, you were the last person she talked to, and we actually know that your house was the last place she was, alive, so what's going on there? He's like, well, why would I know anything about it? And he's like, you tell me. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this. And then next thing you know, Veronica steps in and was like, hey, excuse me, George, you know better than this. You know better than to question my client, and you know better to come at her with all these questions. Like, what are you trying to prove? Like, first of all, there's a protocol for doing this, and even if you follow the protocol, you still wouldn't be able to talk to her and be question her the way it is, and be question her the way you are right now. So I suggest you cut it out. So therefore, we see that went down, and pretty much Veronica, Catherine, I think, tells Veronica like, Veronica tells her, meet me at your house in 15 minutes. We got some stuff to do. Then we get a scene with Melissa and Jeffrey. He's trying to check up on her. She's still mad, and she's still grief-stricken off of her dad dying. And then the next thing you know, we meet somebody. We meet this woman named Doris. And Doris is Melissa's mother, and she is just as vile and is just as ruthless as Veronica. She's pretty much telling her like, look, is my daughter giving you any trouble? Because she knows who Jeffrey is. And she's like, is my daughter giving you any trouble? Because she can be stubborn. I know, like, her father just died, and obviously she's not taking it well. And here it goes. She done tried it again. And he's like, again? He's like, yeah, this is the third time she done tried to kill herself. Twice in her teens, and now this. You know, I told her that she needs to kind of toughen up and she needs to grow up, you know. And she's like, well, maybe she just needs help and she needs counseling. You know, I'll be more than happy to help. She's like, oh, no. We're not taking any handouts. And as far as I'm concerned, I hear you like to get hand jobs. And, and he's like, excuse me? He's like, oh, yeah, I know you gay. Your mother done told me all about you. I know all about that. And it's like, you know, the thing is, I just buried her. We're about to bury her father, and I'm not trying to bury another person. But then Jeffrey's like, well, just to let you know, Miss Doris, that whether gay or straight, you know, it doesn't matter. Hand jobs, anybody can get a hand job. And she's like, well, your mother says, like, yeah, I'm very familiar with what my mother told you. But he's like, but don't worry about it. She's going to bring forth this child, and she will do better. I promise you, she will do better. And then she leaves, and then Melissa's like, see, I told you, she's just like your mother. And he's like, so why? What was it that you're saying? Or why I want to live, and why I should want to, you know, not do this to myself? And you know, how is this all going to be better? You know. And she's like, tell Jeffrey, like, Jeffrey, just go. Just go. And we see that went down. Then we get the ending. Candace is in her room. She gets a knock on the door, and it's Charles and Landon. And he pretty much we can definitely tell they just got back from that speech that they talked about a few episodes ago, where they were going to do a speech, you know, talking about what happened, you know, as far as this drive-by shooting and about this child being killed. Not at the time knowing it's about little Quincy. So, next, we actually see that Charles is like, look, Candace, I got something to tell you. And she's like, what? She's like, look. He says, it's about your son. And she's like, what about my son? He said that, look, I just came back on a speech on gun violence. And your son was actually caught in that crossfire. And she's like, what are you talking about? And then next, you know, we see Candace start getting emotional. She's like, is he okay? And she's like, no, he's not okay. Your son's dead. And she says, where was he? Where did this take place? And Landon said, it took place at the Fountain Drop Hotel. So she knew from that point that, yeah, what they were saying was true. She breaks down and she's like, what did I do? What did I do? And, you know, she pretty much breaks down, and that was the end of that. Then we get a scene with Veronica and Catherine. Veronica is going back to her old tactics by setting fires. She got gasoline outside of the Cryer mansion. She's pouring, you know, gasoline everywhere. And she's like, you know, and Catherine's like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you burning down my house? She says, look, this is evidence, and you're not taking me down with you. So, if all the evidence is destroyed, they don't have a case. So, this house is now evidence. We need to get rid of it. And she pretty much tells Catherine, light the damn match, and let's get the party started. And she says, and she's like, I wonder if Jim's in here. And then, like, Veronica's like, Catherine, do you think Jim's inside here? And she's like, I don't give a damn. Do the damn fucking match. And the house goes up in flames, and that's where it ended. I was like, damn. I was like, wow. So even if Jim was in that damn house, she was going to burn his ass up with the house anyway. But we see that that's going down. So we definitely see it's going to be a lot next week. So that's what I have for you guys. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of The Haves and the Have-Nots. So until then, everybody, take care.